This will be the first time we have had the new Vanderbilt basketball coach, Mark Byington, on our show. But, Kelly, I'm going to tell a little story on him before we go. So, before he ever had the press conference that said he was coming to Vandy, the press conference was on a Thursday. On Monday, late in the day, one of the big mistakes of his life, he took a phone call from Will Purdue.
Okay.
And apparently the call went on and on and on, as only our buddy Will Purdue can do it. So on Thursday at the press conference, after it was over and they'd done all the stuff, the media people were kind of going up one at a time and introducing themselves. And, Coach, nice to have you here. Good. Well, I decided it's not going to be like that. I said, Coach George Plaster, I said, tell me what talking to Will Purdue for an hour is like. And he burst out laughing. And right then, I knew I liked him. Mark, how you doing?
Hey, you're still laughing at that. Yeah, so obviously when you get the job, you want to connect with legends, and Will Purdue is a legend at Vanderbilt, legend NBA, and all sorts. And I wanted to talk to him as fast as possible, and I thought it'd be a 5-minute conversation. It ended up being about an hour and a half. And
boy!
The good thing about it was he was giving me so much information that multiple times I was like, hold on, let me write this down. So it was a great conversation, but at that time, I didn't expect an hour to have conversation with him.
That's what he told me that day was. He said, went a little longer than I thought. I got a legal pad out. So, Mark, the one lesson to be learned is Will cannot say hello to you in 5 minutes.
I've learned it now. That's his experience. So he's been great. He came by our practice when he was in town, and had great messages for guys on our team. And he's a legendary figure. Like, I know him watching him play and at Vanderbilt and in the NBA and everything else. Our guys, they only understand him from The Last Dance, when I kind of seeing him through that. But they know his name. They know him in Last Dance, and it was great to see him in person. He's been tremendous support since I've gotten the job.
Mark, at the time when he had the breakout, I was a 24-year-old color announcer, basically because C.M. Newton made it happen. And we're in Hawaii, and we're hearing reports that Will has turned a corner, but nobody's really seen it yet. And we end up playing Missouri in the semifinals of I want to say it was the Hawaiian Silver Sword. And he tore up 7'1" Gary Leonard, who had a pretty darn good reputation. And that was kind of Will's coming out party. And it was really interesting to watch because when he got there, I'm not sure he could dunk when he got to Vandy. But by the time, it was over, he was the 9th pick in the draft.
I love stories like that. Like that's like a coach's dream, when somebody comes in and works hard and develops and gets better and better. And Will's an example. Right now, a guy who's got a championship ring on the way, Luke Cornett, similar situation. Kevin Stallings told me his recruiting, and he had nothing in the spring going into the summer after his high school season. And now look at him, an NBA champion, and Will. I love those stories. It's like a lot of guys you'll watch when they're 14 or even younger than that, and you're like, all right, they're going to be great. And they're kind of anointed right away, and because their talent and everything they do. But some of the other guys, they got a different path, and they got to work and get better and better along the way, and they're under the radar. And there's room in basketball for both of them. But I especially have something in my heart for stories like Will and Luke.
I haven't asked you this, but when you were at James Madison, and you're coming off one of the all-time great victories that school's ever had in the NCAA tournament, the Vandy job's open. When did you say to yourself, I'm going after that?
Well, I'll take you behind the curtain a little bit. So, you do an interview process even before you are involved in that stage, because things got to move so quickly now. And, Candace Story Lee and I talked on phone. We actually did a Zoom with the committee and a couple other people on there, and I think everything was in place. But Candace told this right, and this was 100% like coming from my heart. When I was being kind of pursued by a lot of different jobs, I flat out told her during all these things, and then some of them even job offers, whereas, look, Candace, I want to be at Vanderbilt. Like, I think I can get it done there. I've kind of like watched it from afar. I've done my research. I've seen things. And it was some of the times you're in the process where these job interviews are coming after you and they're trying to convince you to take the job. And I think we were in kind of a situation initially where I told her I didn't want to use this for anything else, that I wanted the job at Vanderbilt. And that was because of the quick research I had to, but also I just think it's a special place. And, I'm here now for whatever it is, 4 months maybe. And it's actually amplified. It's even better and more than I thought. So my gut was right and my instincts were right. And it's even better than I thought.
So while you were doing that research, I was too. As your name starts to get out there, I know that you're James Madison. I know that they've had this big win, but I have the chance to talk to a high school coach down in South Carolina. And I said, I know you know something about him. Tell me about him. And the word he threw out, he said, he's a grinder. Man, he is not afraid of hard work, which is great because that's what your first month and a half was, wasn't it?
That first month and a half was absolutely amazing. I really wish that somebody was following me with a camera that could document everything that was going on, because I forgot half of it. It was fast paced. There were things going on. I had to make quick decisions, and it wasn't like you can kind of come in where it's one of those jobs where let me get settled in and then make these decisions or figure out what I would do with the team. The most important decisions I have that impacted this year that's going to affect us in January and February in SEC play was made those first 3 weeks when I took the job. And it was a lot, but I've said this before. I knew it was going to be a challenge, and it was nothing that I didn't expect. It was a great challenge, but I love it. Like, it was every day I was waking up, I was running to work. I was like, I couldn't wait to get there. And the phone calls, and the more I was learning about Vanderbilt, I was so excited to share that with recruits and say, look, this is, let me tell you about this, or this part of campus, or this part of our academics, or everything else. And the excitement was running me through all the way through that. So sleep deprived, yes, but my energy was all the way through all that and trying to build this program.
So you ended up reshaping this roster, and that is an understatement. Can you tell yet what you've really got?
I got a feel, but at the same time, we have not faced the things that teams need to know in order to kind of overcome things. So we haven't faced adversity. We haven't faced really roles on the team yet, and guys buying into roles and what they got to do. So what we've gone through, we went through 8 weeks of training. That was 4 hours a week weights, 4 hours a week basketball. And those 4 hours a week basketball went by quickly. And you're getting a feel. It's shorter. It's accelerated in what you want to see. And I did a lot of experimenting the last 2 or 3 weeks of that training. And I said, all right, let's put guys in different roles and see what that fits. And what we do now as a staff, we kind of go back and watch that film and then see what we like, didn't like, what fits the team, and we'll adjust anything we need to along the way.
You're probably not going to want to go this far, but are you at a point where you absolutely know, okay, these two are complete keepers?
Well, I'll say this. I think they're all keepers right now. And if you had to tell me, like, I describe your team right now, the first thing I would say is we're deep. And there are some days that whatever you want to number a guy, like one day he's their 9th, 10th, 11th guy. The next day we're on the court practicing. He's number 1, 2, or 3. And I like that. So I know we're deep. We've got to kind of figure out some things. We didn't talk much about defense this summer and rebounding. We try to implement our language and do the skill set. And I did mention this earlier about the weight training. Our guys in the weight room made unbelievable improvements. Like AJ's a 5th-year guy, and he lost 10 pounds and gave 4 inches on his vertical. That doesn't happen to 5th-year guys in college basketball. And Jalen Carey, who came from JMU with me, he lost 18 pounds and he gained 3.5 inches on his vertical and his quickness and everything else. And then I got the opposite end. Nashville product, Tyler Tanner put on 11 pounds and got faster, stronger, everything else. So what our guys in the weight room was extremely important to our success later on. And we got another training session that's about to take place when they come back to school, and we need the same type of gains.
Before I turn it over to Kelly Holcomb, I want to ask one last thing. One thing that's been real music to my ears, because if you go back through my life, a lot of my best friends are former Vanderbilt basketball players from around that time when I was a color announcer. It's a group that I've stayed really close with. You walked in saying something I needed to hear, which is, man, I want our former players involved and up close and around anytime they want to be. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I was a college athlete, and I wasn't near as good as almost probably 95% of players that I'm talking to at Vanderbilt. But I understand the sacrifice they made, and they chose Vanderbilt for a reason. And the hours that they put into the gym and the dedication and the injuries and the sweat and the memories and everything else, that they came here for a reason, and it's got a place in their heart for a reason. And I just want them to know that I appreciate that, I understand that, and that they're always family. And I want them to come back. My favorite thing that I've done since taking the job is when I get time to talk to them and I learn former players' stories and different things like that. Like Shane Foster I had a dinner with him, and I was just amazed. And I was sitting there, it was funny. I was like, didn't you make 6 or 7 threes in a game like your senior night? He corrected me. It was even more than that, which I loved. And the other day in practice, Matt Parigi came by, and I wanted to meet him so bad because I respected him so much as a player, and obviously he's done great after that. But there's hundreds of stories like that. It's not just where I want them to come back. I want them to come back and be a part of our team, talk to our team, and give them advice and let them know that they're going to be part of this journey, that they were in it, way long ago. They know more than most of us, but where we're going to go, I want them to help push us.
Kelly, say hello to Mark Byington.
Coach, how you doing?
Good, Kelly.
Congratulations on your new job, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's still new now. To me, it's like I feel like I've been here for a while, and actually I haven't got lost in Nashville in about 2 weeks now, so I feel like I'm a local now.
Nashville's a good place, man. So let me ask you this, Coach. With and it seems like I ask everybody this, but NIL. I've always said that, when I was playing football a long time ago, there were guys that, came from underprivileged backgrounds that, needed something. How has NIL changed the game now, name, image, and likeness? How is that? Is it a hindrance to you? I mean, it's something that's here, or do you like it? Or, because I've heard of stories where, coaches are going into, and this is football side, but coaches are going into homes, and now the parents are not even talking about education. They're talking about how much are we getting paid. So how have you dealt with that?
Well, a lot of what you said, it's truthful. Sometimes, players are choosing a school based on NIL only. And it's a major factor. So college sports got flipped up a couple of years ago with the transfer portal of not having players have to sit out. And so now every year, basically they're free agents, and they can choose their situation to stay, or they could choose their situation to go. And then they also is like, there's a market value on what they are. And I truly believe the players need to be compensated. They're too talented, and to call it this complete an amateur sport is not fair when like CBS has $1 billion deal for the NCAA tournament, and the revenue that these schools and conferences make. The players need to be a part of that. Now, I've had to change how I think about things and do things where we don't just recruit saying, all right, he's a great player, great young man, great academics, but we also kind of got to be a general manager and say, does he kind of fit in the amount of money that we think can fit him? And if it works out, then everything, but it's not as simple as it used to be. And it keeps changing. So now here we go with revenue sharing about to take place, hopefully next year. And then there's a whole different type of thing you got to learn. And Kelly, the biggest way I can explain it is right now I'm trying to build a house on quicksand. And you're trying to figure out, all right, let's make it stable. Let's figure out like just whatever it is, let's figure it out and let's go. But it's not the case right now in college. And I do think we are going to get there, but we're not there right now.
How are they? This is a question for me. I was thinking about this the other day, but how are they? Because they've said that they're capping everything with $22 million. So every school's got $22 million they put in a pot. How are they dividing that up among the programs? I mean, I know that you would want as much as you could get with getting players there, but is it football is kind of the big thing, and then men's basketball? Is that how they're doing it with each school?
No, Kelly, I was told I'm getting all $22 million.
And, good for you, Hoss.
We have a Mid-South exclusive.
I like it.
And so we'll figure out how to divvy that up. No, you know what? What's going on right now is every athletic department is trying to figure that out. And I don't think anybody knows. And there's going to be a lot of really smart people that are going to figure out like what's the right way. And there is a lot of different avenues they gotta implement. They gotta understand, all right, Title IX and the value of a quarterback compared to like somebody else or whatever. So I don't think they know how it's going to work right now, but I know they're working hard at it. And I think they're trying to implement things pretty quickly because, so like I said, we could try to get on stable ground and try to figure things out.
Coach, appreciate you taking the time. George, when was your first time in Memorial Gym? What year?
Oh, God. The first time I saw Pete Maravich in 1969.
Wow.
My dad took me.
So
I'm only 40, but I mean.
I'm not trying to make you feel old.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I'm trying to make the place feel old. And Coach, I'm sure right when you walked in there, you said this in your presser, you're like, this place is awesome. And some people may not see that anymore. It's kind of like the Fenway Park feel. It's old and run down, but you were able to see, the benefit of it and how cool and how much of an advantage it can be. George has obviously seen that. Kelly, you've been to games over there. That was the place to be in Nashville for a long time. How much of an advantage can that be for your program, and how excited are you to play in Memorial Gym and in front of those students and bring some of the fans back that maybe haven't been there in a long time?
Yes, I think Memorial has so many advantages. It's older, but it's unique. Like the acoustics in there are incredible. When the crowd is in there, they can feel it. And I've talked to a number of SEC coaches, and they said when that place is packed, there's no tougher place to play in the SEC. My assistant coaches, head coaches, and I love the fact they shared that with me. And I think we've done a good job at Vanderbilt of keeping that and making sure that we keep, an arena that has a character and something that's you're not going to see anywhere else in the country. And so we have that, but then you walk in our locker room, it's state of the art. It's modern. It's completely different. Right on the corner of Memorial Gymnasium, we're building a brand new practice facility. It's going to open up in a couple months. And that's going to be, if not the nicest in the country, way up there. And it's going to be a modern, like every single thing in there is going to be all the bells and whistles you can imagine. So we got the best of both worlds. We got a really great home court environment, tough, historic, has great memories and character and things like that. But then we're training facilities and things like that, we'll have the most modern parts that anybody has in the country.
Last thing, Coach, when fans are on their way to Memorial this year, going to a game, what can they expect to see from this team? I know you talked about how they're maybe still trying to find a little bit of an identity, but you mentioned depth. What are a few other things that you want fans to be ready to see when they come into the gym?
Yeah, they'll see a hard playing team, and we're getting after on both ends of the ball, and that's going to be what we stand for. And they're going to walk away out of the gym, being proud that they cheered for Vanderbilt, that they went to Vanderbilt or played for Vanderbilt or whatever might be the case. But they're going to see what we stand for and that we gave every ounce that we have, and that's going to be the coaching staff all the way through the players.
Hey, Mark, first of all, thank you for taking the time. I'm going to leave you with my best NIL story. You ready?
Yeah, take it.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, Kelly and I have a buddy, Kermit Davis, who at the time was the coach at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. And it had kind of fallen apart, and Kermit, I think, knew what was coming at the end of the season. So I wait for him. They've played Vandy. The gym is empty. There's nobody in there. And Kermit comes out for his post game on radio, and he looks over and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Man, I came to say hello to you. I've been thinking about you. He knew I knew what was coming. I knew he knew what was coming." And as he's ending it, he goes, "George, I got one thing I want to throw out there." He said, "How do you think Kevin Stallings would handle NIL?"
Yeah, it's a learning for everybody. It really is. And, no one imagined, 5 years ago, this is where we'd be. But I'm like this is where we are. Let's learn. Let's evolve. Let's figure out how to be the best at it and work with it and take advantage of it. But I wouldn't imagine even just a couple of years ago that this would how be college athletics would work. And I think we're in a transitional phase. It's going to be really good. But like in any transitional phase, there's some bumps along the way.
Thank you for taking the time to come on here. We'll do it again sometime down the road, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, next time do it live from practice. You guys, I see you get mobile and then bring it to practice and come on, and then you could do play-by-play and bring your crew with you.
Nice. God knows I've had some practice at it. Right corner for three. No good. Yeah. Hey, thanks. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's new Vanderbilt basketball coach Mark Byington. First time we've had him on the show. I wanted to wait a little while because I knew what his first few months were like. It was.
I like him, man. I think he's going to get it done.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell why I was pretty excited
because
he was saying the things I wanted to hear when he first got here. One of them being, I'm going to recruit my butt off. And number two, I want the former players involved. And that's important to me because a lot of those guys are my buddies. And
it's just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, and in the previous regime, I mean, let's be honest, there was none of that.
No, absolutely not. When you saw some of the pictures that y'all showed last year with nobody at the gymnasium and then UT coming in and it was all orange,
You go back to the way we were talking about this program just 5-6 months ago to how we're talking about it now. Now
feels a lot better.
They haven't played a game yet, but that feels a little bit better than what fans.
And when he says that they're going to work, they're going to fight their butts off, and you'll be proud of this.
Yeah.
You like people like that.
You know what? We'll take him up on the offer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.